Hi and welcome to the RBT podcast. RBT stands for Results-Based Training. It is a fitness facility that we run in South Manchester. My name's Beau Williams and I have been running small group training facilities in and around Altrincham and Urmston and Timperley for around the last 10 years. We have started this podcast because we want to bring on some of our guests and members of our gyms so that they can share their stories of how and why they got into fitness, and they can share with you the benefits and the journeys that they have been on. I initially became a personal trainer just over 11 years ago, having been overweight my entire life. I found the gym environment really uncomfortable. It wasn't something that I enjoyed doing. I kind of thought it wasn't for me and that I would never really get there. And fast forward 10 or 11 years, I now help others in the local area find this to be a part of their weekly routine. In today's episode, we are joined by one of our clients, Nigel Peacock, who has been a member of RBT for just coming up to 12 months now. And in today's episode, he shares his struggles with his mental health. He talks about several life-changing events that he's been through over the last 10 years, such as having a stillbirth with his partner, losing his mum. And he talks to us about how coming to the gym 2 to 3 times every week and prioritizing himself has massively helped him with his mental health, his struggles, his work, being present at home. And so without further ado, let me introduce you to Nige. Nige, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for giving us your time today. What I would like to do, mate, if I can, right at the beginning of this, is get an understanding a little bit about you so that anybody watching or listening can kind of understand and relate to you as a person. I think often we can be guilty of, seeing people online or, podcasts, videos, and we just kind of assume that they might have it a little bit easier than us. And that's why they've, had success in certain areas of their life. So let's start off. Let's get to know you a little bit. Let's understand what your week looks like and get an idea of what made you want to get fit and healthy.
Okay, I'm 50 years old for a start. That's kind of the starting point of this whole journey.
Looking good, mate.
And I do feel good at the moment. And it all came about, I work full time, Monday to Friday. I travel a lot with my job. I've got the standard family of child at home, but I've also got older kids from a previous relationship. So I've got all the things that go with that, the stress of that, the enjoyment of that, the time investment in all that kind of stuff as well. So I have those pressures in life as well as looking after my job. I look after my elderly father. We lost my mum 6 years ago. So I'm looking after him, which is pretty much just something I do on my own. It's part of that week as well. So that's my week. And I suspect everyone's life is relative. Everyone's got their own pressures. Well, they're my pressures. That's a lot to contend with. That's where I am, but I've been quite successful in my career in the sense of I've ended up in a nice place at a nice company earning, a decent salary for my age. And I'm settled. I've got my own house, I've got my kids who are all happy. Everyone's cracking on with their lives. And it was time for me to kind of start looking after myself a little bit after the last 10 years of maybe not focusing on myself. I'm focusing on all that stuff that's going on around me. Now I've got all that organised, which I have. It was time to sort of turn to myself a little bit and go, what do I need to do to sort of make myself start feeling a bit better? Because all that pressure makes you then do other things to relieve that pressure that maybe not the right things. Mm-hmm. So alcohol, going out, that kind of thing, and turning to those negatives to make you for the short-term highs. When really I want to be looking long-term. Having a young daughter who's now 8, she's full of energy. I need to have that matching energy that I had with my older kids, mm-hmm. going back, to the sort of 1990s and 2000s when they were that age. So having that energy level now is a key part of what I wanted to achieve. And I'm fortunate enough to have worked hard enough to get in that position where I can be, despite all the pressures that I've got with family life, which everybody will have, and everyone will have their own version of that pressure as well. So that's where I am in life. And
okay, cool. So you've been with us here at RBT for around a year now.
Just short of a year, yeah. March the 6th, 2024. Wow.
And would you have said then before you started with us, was it a combination of everything going on at the time as to made you want to reach out? 'Cause you've listed a few things there, which I think is great. What was the main motivation? We obviously put an advert out.
Yeah.
You've clicked on that. You saw something in that advert, and you've wanted to What was that main thing for you?
The main motivation for me, I think, I was getting to the point where I noticed myself turning to other things to distract myself from the pressures of life, and I wanted to turn those into a positive thing. I was drinking far too much. My job and my social life kind of, sucks you into that corner quite easily, if I'm being honest. I have a job where I have to take clients out and that kind of thing, so I was leaning on that a little bit too much to sort of just get day by day, week by week, get over that. Whereas I thought to myself, I used to be really fit. I used to ride mountain bikes a lot, do a lot of swimming, played football all my life from the age of sort of, 4 all the way up until sort of 22. And I'd kind of lost that fitness and lost that mental drive to go out and do something. So I was getting to that point, and the turning point for me was actually going on a short trip to Euro Disney in 2024. Early, I think February 24. And Leia was 7 at the time, and she was picking up and carrying around. And I was absolutely knackered. That 4 days, even though I had a great time, and that was kind of the simple, I've got to do something here. I've got to sort myself out, stop the drinking, stop the sort of excessively going out and doing that sort of stuff, and then find something that suits me to do that. Because what I needed in my life, because of all the pressures I had, is a structure. It's far too easy. I'll join a gym, 25 quid a month.
Have you joined a few gyms before?
Yeah, I've done JD, I've done Everlast in Sale, and all those things where you're paying sort of 20, 30 quid a month, and it's up to you then to push yourself to go, and then you've got no one there really telling you what to do and what the right things to do. So I was looking for that structure because I knew once I had that structure, I've always been good at taking direction and then taking that direction and turning it into my own, way of moving forward. And I knew I needed that. So I looked at various options. Your lovely face popped up on Facebook, as you said, and that was kind of it. As soon as I came in that first day, I knew this was the right place, but we'll probably get onto that. But that was the turning point, was thinking, Leia's 7, she's 8, I need to get my energy back up. I've had a lot going on in life. Things are starting to calm down. What can I do to make that better? And going out on the mountain bike every Saturday for 4 or 5 hours at a time is not probably the answer.
Difficult when you've got family, right?
So you're trying to find something you can do that fits in around the family, and looking after my dad, looking after Leia, etc. So you're searching for things to do that. And there's not that many things out there that can do that you can slot. You can go and play five-a-side, but I'm 50 years old. My knees are not capable of playing five-a-side football anymore like they used to be. So the gym was the obvious thing, and then it was seeking out something that could be structured that I knew I'd react well to do that, and that's what I did. I started looking for that kind of thing. And
yeah, so time is a big, it's a big, and it's a big thing that we hear when we're talking to people about coming and getting started. There's always a big objection, and I think that actually it's a real objection, because when you're working full time and you're trying to balance family life and your relationship, all these things need you to put time into them.
Correct.
You've already listed a few other things there as well, like your dad and things going on. So how do you get started with that then? When you're feeling the pressure and you've got everything going on.
Yeah.
How do you? Because a lot of people, I think, will relate to this.
Yeah. No.
What's that first thing?
I'm fairly committed. When I do something, I do tend to get into it, research it, and do it properly. I'm like that with anything. That's probably why I'm kind of a project manager in that sense in my day job. And it was a case of just sort of saying, okay, I'm going to do this for 6 weeks. It's a 6-week trial. I'm going to book that 6 weeks now. I'm going to schedule myself.
You did actually,
didn't you? And I did. I went on, and for that whole 6 weeks, I booked every single session, and knowing my work diary, and I suppose I'm fortunate enough in my work to be able to plan my own diary to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. So I did that, and I looked at when those sessions would be, and I started off doing evenings because I thought that would be easier. And then, but it turned to 2 or 3 weeks later thinking, actually, if I get up early in the morning, before my family's up, before Leia goes to school, before my dad's even awake, before the issues of work start to kick in.
Before everyone can have their piece of it.
I can come here at 6 o'clock in the morning till 7. I can do the ice bath and the sauna. I can still be home by 7:30, 7:45. So that's where it fitted in for me. I can do that without affecting anything in my life, but committing to that 6 o'clock in the morning was quite tough for the first 2 weeks. That's getting up at 5, getting a coffee, getting your mindset, moving around a bit in the house, then coming here. But once you're here, it's a different zone. You're surrounded in this environment by the people that are also got up at 5 and doing it, and everyone's got the same mindset. So that was quite tough. But once I've settled into that routine, which I have, it's a no-brainer. And I've managed to fit 3 sessions a week in on average every week since we started. And there might be weeks when I'm away working, but then I'll perhaps, if I come back on a Friday, sneak in on a Friday evening. So it's just planning is key, looking at weeks ahead as to when these issues might crop up with time, but just get the sessions booked. Once they're booked, they're there in the diary, and you're kind of committed to do it. And yeah, there's a certain level of commitment you need individually to get into the gym. You know, I can see guys coming in here that I think they've not been for a few weeks, and I see message on the WhatsApp group, oh, I'm going to cancel tonight. I'm thinking, just push yourself a little bit.
Yeah, so is that what you would say to those people then?
Yeah, there's definitely self-commitment to this, but once you get over that sort of first few weeks, and your body starts, and your mind starts to realize, this is making me feel so much better, that becomes an easier thing to sort of get over. Because I can imagine someone working all day, getting to 5 o'clock, going, do I really want to come in at 6 o'clock, go to the gym? And it's so easy for them to cancel, whereas I'm up at 5 in the morning, I'm in and done, and got my day's gone. I leave here at 7:30 in the morning, absolutely fresh, absolutely switched on for the day, go home, get Leia ready for school, do the school run, start my day, and I'm working all day, you know, nice lunch. And then, yeah, and I've not got to worry about coming to the gym at night. It's not a pressure I have, so I get it out of the way in the morning, but commitment.
What do you feel either hinders or helps the commitment element to it? Because I see sometimes as a coach that when someone isn't or hasn't been able to get over that initial hurdle and become fully committed to something enough to see the results, I think I'm a big believer that results are the thing to spur you on long term. You've had great results, which we'll talk about as we go on. But do you feel like there's an element of you've got a short window in the beginning to actually harness the energy to push forward? Do you think that would help?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think if you get into the routine on the negative side of I've done 2 this week, that's enough. Well, it's not. You've got to push yourself to do the 3. And you've really got to work hard to get into that mindset. And everyone will be different, but that only took me 2 weeks to kind of really think this is definitely working for me. Someone might take 4 weeks, but all I would say is just stick to it, finish the 6 weeks, and then give it 6 weeks is definitely more than enough time to know whether this is right for you or whether it's wrong for you. But you might know after a week, you might know after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So just do that bit of personal commitment, because the commitment we get then off you guys in return, yes, we're paying for that commitment, but the level of the quality is, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we're very invested in you guys. I think that goes without saying. 100%. Right? We want to see you guys.
And that's the point. And I think once you see how committed you guys are to us, that helps certainly helped me, my personal commitment, go, this is right. This is the right place for me to be, to do this. And so that's all I would say is have some commitment in the first week. Don't just give up and just do the 3 a week.
Do you feel like it's been, so you say that you got your motivation quite early on the first couple of weeks. Is it fair to say that that's been like that consistently the whole time you've been here?
No, it's not. I've had weeks where I've definitely dipped. And
what's caused that? What would you say?
Mainly work, because my job, I have to travel all over the UK and Ireland, and there'll be weeks when I'm away for like 3 or 4 nights a week, whatever, and then I'm not here. So I'm trying to do stuff in the hotels or wherever I am, and it's just not the same because you're not in the environment. And then you can have a dip after that, because you'll go on the machine and you'll look at your weight and your muscle mass and all that, and you think, great. Then you go away for a week. And in my job, I'm taking clients out. That the commitment is quite hard not to drink and not to eat crappy food. That takes some work, but that's where I kind of struggle. And then, there are things in life that will get in the way as well. When my dad has a bad week, I get really mentally drained by that. It's not so much a physical drain, it's just a mental drain. And then that's kind of hard. But I've sometimes, on the positive side, turned that into I'm going to go to the gym tonight and just forget what's happened today and just have an hour to myself.
Do you see it as self-care, an hour to yourself? Do you see it as your time?
Yes, 100%. And the long-term benefit of that is my family will benefit from that as well. But that hour for me is my time. I come here, work really hard, enjoy it, have a laugh, ice bath, sauna, done. And what a great way to spend an hour and a half.
And so you feel like you're a better version of yourself for everyone, as cliche as it sounds. We hear it a lot, right? But it is true.
Totally. I come here and I leave here in the morning totally fresh, totally switched on, and think longer term, weeks, months, you just feel generally better.
More present,
healthy, more switched on, just alive to what's going on around you, less stressed about those situations that do stress you out. My looking after my is hard work sometimes. It's very mentally draining. And I used to get really stressed with him. That's not his fault. And that's when that's going back to what we were saying earlier, you start turning to other means to try and get over that mental stress. Whereas now I'm a lot more relaxed. because I'm just generally calmer in life because I'm more alive and more aware of what's going on. I'm not as tough with that situation as I am.
So no doubt you're giving yourself less shit over that as well.
Totally.
Then, really,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm just like, okay, this isn't as bad. When those incidents happen, those specific arguments, those specific situations, you get really stressed out by it, and it can affect your whole week. Now I'm like, just take a step back. I'm okay. It's all calm. And that's what the effect this place has had on my life. It's just made me a lot calmer, more mentally stronger to deal with situations. And I've been through a fair bit of
let's touch on what you're comfortable touching on then. So like in terms of, because we speak about mental health quite a lot, but you know, I also share, I feel huge benefits of training with my mental health and actually really know when I'm not doing it. And what's mad is even as a coach to you guys in here, having other plates to spin, it's easy for those things to get in the way, a bit like what you're saying.
Yeah.
I know instantly in my head when I'm not training. Yeah. So talk to me about that then. Was that, was that quite...
Look, yeah, I mean, I can go on for hours about this sort of stuff, but, I had kids really young. So I had my daughter at 21. Okay. Clearly not a planned thing, but, and we look, she's 29 now. I'm a granddad now. She's had her own child. So all that in the end has worked out brilliantly. But that distracts your life when you're 21 to the age of 35. You've got this young girl. And I had a son who's now 21. In that same relationship, me and their mum aren't together anymore. I got remarried nearly close to 13 years ago. And then we've had a lot in that 13-year period since we got married. That's not the marriage's fault. It's just been quite a stressful time. We've had lots of personal situations going on. Me and my wife went through a stillbirth, which was, probably the toughest thing anyone would probably ever go through in life, and certainly the toughest thing we've been through. Losing my mum just happened after the sort of stillbirth period of life that we went through. So that had already been a tough 5 years. And then my mum got Parkinson's. She was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and she struggled on with that for about 2 or 3 years. That was hard. But then she got pancreatic cancer, which came on suddenly one Christmas. It was Boxing Day. We were sat and having a Christmas dinner. She went very yellow. And the next day, 2 days later, I think, went to the doctors, and he knew straight away what it was. And we discovered a few weeks later it was pancreatic cancer. My mum was 75 at the time. And then, they tried to operate. It had gone too far. They couldn't operate. So my mum was given sort of 12 to 18 months to live. She made it to the 18 months, but only just. So, and that period of going through, they tried chemo, they tried radiography, they tried all those things. They tried to operate, which was a really stressful day in itself because it was a 5 or 6 hour operation. We didn't know what the results were going to be. They were trying to remove it, but they rang us at the end of the day, almost like getting a phone call saying your mum's passed away, but it wasn't. They said, there's nothing we can do. It's too wrapped around this important vessel, that's it. And you kind of,
that was the day of the op?
That was the day of the operation where you kind of think, okay, well...
And did you get to see your mum again?
Yeah. So my mum then carried on, I think 10 months.
Okay, wow, true.
After that, but then in hospital, she was in and out of hospital. She ended up Wimshore just before Christmas 2018, it would have been. And then she got sepsis while she was in hospital. So that was stressful. But they released her. They let her out on Christmas Eve. And then she, but we kind of knew at that point she was not going to last that much longer, but she was still talking at that point. She was still, she knew she wanted to go home. And then, she basically took her home under hospice care. And then you kind of know where you're going in that 2 months. And then, yes, she eventually passed away.
And so at the time then with your dad, your dad wasn't unwell at the time? Or?
No, my dad wasn't unwell. So my dad had prostate cancer probably 10 years previous. We'd been through that with him. He cleared or remission, I think they call it, but he basically never got ill again from that. He's got a lot of side effects from that time. But no, he was well at the time, but obviously mentally he was just a mess because we were constantly back into the hospital, and he's watching his wife of 52 years sort of fade away in front of him. And that was a really tough period of that sort of December to February before my mum actually passed away. But it was hard because my mum was getting worse every day. And
obviously having had, what you and your partner had been through as well.
Yeah. Before. And you're jumping from one situation to another. You've never really got time to process what's just happened and look back and go, okay, we've managed to get through that. You're just going, oh my God, now there's something else. The short term, that's quite good because your mind's so focused, you haven't got time to sort of start processing and thinking about stuff. But actually, now I've come out of that whole period of life, you can look back and go, actually, we did all right, but I wish I'd done this.
You feel like it's an expectation you put on yourself because you've obviously got your family still, and you're still trying to be. I'm
essentially
strong.
now the lead, the old matriarch of the family analogy. So now my dad's 86 and he's now got other medical conditions that require a lot of attention. Mentally, he's not been in a good place since my mum passed away because he's married for 50 years and all of a sudden my mum's not there anymore and he's left doing all the jobs and that kind of thing. And he gets really stressed out by that because my dad's old school. Husband, wife, that kind of thing. So, it's been hard to sort of process all that information. And
do you feel like there's a bit of you maybe that just feels like it's just been a bit relentless, mate? You know what I mean? Because
it has been relentless.
Yeah, and now with like where you're at with your dad, because you mentioned like sometimes with the frustrations, a little bit. Do you feel like there's an element of that? Within it?
You end up taking out maybe the stuff you've not processed over the last sort of 10 years is all coming out in anger or is all coming out the wrong way. Because I do get very, very frustrated, or I did get very, very frustrated quite quickly with my dad in certain situations. And I think going back to my mum, when you lose your mum's the one person in life that when you're a kid and you want a medal, straight to your mum.
Nothing like a mother's love.
My dad was like, right, when's the next one coming? My mum was like, so you get that little bit of attention and like care, and then that doesn't change as you get older. I love my mum to bits, and when I got a new job, Mum, I've got this new job, she was always proud of me, and she would have been very proud of what I'm doing here. And it's that, I'll always miss that. My wife is clearly very supportive. My kids are clearly very supportive of what I'm doing, but that your mum's the one person that would always give you a hug, congratulations, well done, even if it's the smallest thing you've achieved in life, because she was always very proud of me and what I tried to achieve in life after having kids so young. So I do miss that, and I still miss that to this day, that, I just wish I could ring my mum and go, Mum, I've done a PB today in squat. Because, you ring other people, they don't really care.
There's nothing like a mother's love, mate. I don't think. No. It's not the same. And I think, again, as a man, you have an expectation in lots of other roles, in lots of other areas of your life, whereas perhaps with your mum, it's your one person that you can just be completely like... vulnerable with almost
open, honest, talk about anything, even the failures you've been through and that kind of thing. So I do miss my mum, and it's a big part of my life that I'll never be able to replace, obviously. And you do search for that in other areas, but you're never going to replace your mum. So you just have to compartmentalize and go, right, I'm going to get that break when I do this. I'm going to go and speak to that person, and I might get a bit of there. My dad listens. I've tried to train my dad into listening a bit more rather than just focusing on what's next. But it was a huge thing to happen after a really stressful period in life that really sort of set me back. And again,
and is this like, so the drinking and things like that, like then that you mentioned, was that always that way, or was it enhanced?
No, it wasn't always that way. It certainly enhanced through that period in time, because it's so easy just to go home on a Thursday or a Friday or a Saturday, just open a bottle of wine, because you just want to forget what's happened in the day, and then that becomes every night. And that becomes more than one bottle. And then you start eating. It's just a big vicious circle, I found. And that's how it got out of hand with me, was drinking far too much wine eating far too much crappy food. Just because it was the easy option at the end of every day. Because not only have you got the stuff going on in your life, you've still got your family life to deal with, still got your job to deal with, and all that kind of stuff.
But then what you've almost done there, mate, as well, is you've like added an element of work. Because this is what people are going to think, like people that are listening that can relate to any of what you've said. It's like, I feel so snowed under with all of this right now. And now you're asking me to go and train 3 hours a week, right? But I think, and I've had conversations similar, not the same as this, but similar with other clients. And it's like, you just have to find that initial bit that's going to replace the alcohol and the food and give you that consistent sort of thing to do, that reason to get up again in the morning.
You get so comfortable in living in that kind of life. And it is depression to a certain extent. I've never been tested for clinical depression. I don't know if I have been. I'd be amazed if I hadn't been at some point in all that period in life. But it's kind of going cold turkey as well. It's like people who've quit smoking or quit drinking, it's stepping out of that. You're in a comfortable bubble, even though it's not a very nice, comfortable bubble to be in, but you're in it, and you just live your life day by day because it's easy. Deal with the stress, go home with a glass of wine. Deal with the stress, go home with a pint of beer. you've got to step out of that. And it's kind of like going cold turkey for the first few weeks, going, I'm going to do this now. I'm going to step out. I'm going to stop smoking. I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to do something. And coming here was that for me. It was like stepping out of that period, going, I can do this. And I did it. And, 2 weeks, I said before, 2 weeks, that's how long it took me to realise that this was the right thing to do. It might take someone a bit longer, but taking that first step, and don't forget all the stuff you've been through. And you just have to, coming here has helped me process it. And sort of, I said,
I think that's important.
I was turning the anger I had and perhaps the stuff I'd not dealt with mentally into anger towards my dad because he was stressing me out. And now I'm not doing that anymore because I'm sort of processing that information slowly. And coming here is helping me do that because I'm clearer minded in the day to think, okay, we're all right. We're done all right.
Patient and
So he focused that energy here, not in the anger towards your dad or your child or your wife or whoever it is that's, and not performing in your job. Because that, one of the big things it was performance in my job was being effective.
It's another pressure, bro, isn't it? Definitely another pressure.
Definitely. So, losing mum was a massive thing, and it's something you'll never get over. But turn that energy into something more positive by coming here. And
I just want to hone in on just one little thing you said there, because you've mentioned a few times in today's chat about the 2 week window.
Yeah.
One thing that I say to people all the time is just try and take less on. So when you're in that period there where everything is fucking heavy, right? And you don't possibly can't imagine where you're going to find the energy or the inclination to bother. 2 weeks seems much more achievable.
Yeah.
Right? And yes, we offer a 6 week program. We offer a 6 week program for lots of different reasons. But if it were me, I would just focus on the breaking of that habit. And one thing we know about breaking habits is it's like when someone stops drinking or smoking, as you say, the thing not to do is just to get rid of that thing. The thing to do is to replace that thing. Because otherwise you've got an idle mind, right? And that's never good for anyone. So making a small commitment to yourself, just a 2 week window, it's 6 visits here with us or with something similar. But say it's easier to visualize smaller step, easier to visualize that.
And, smaller steps, smaller chunks, smaller results that you need to. You're not going to.
You haven't got to have all the answers.
You're not going to lose 5 kilograms in 2 weeks, but you might lose half a kilogram, but you'll certainly feel better.
Yeah.
And that will give you the indication. Okay, this is the right thing to do, and then that sticks into the next 2 weeks. So just take them in small chunks. And that's kind of what I've been doing. I'm still doing that now.
I feel like you do that well.
Yeah, I'm not. It's like with the squat. I'm going to get to a point on the squat that I'm happy. And that's my target. And now I've got there, I'm kind of like, okay, now I'm going to start moving on to something else and do it in small chunks. Don't try and do everything all at once because it doesn't help. And that's certainly when I first started this journey was an easier way to do it. Just do a week, do 2 weeks. That turned into 6. And now we're nearly 12 months. It's that kind of thing. Doing it in that small steps definitely helps. Don't put yourself under far too much pressure. And like I said about the commitment thing, I had it. I did book the 6 weeks because I was able to do that. People might not be able to do that with their job, but just for that 2 weeks, don't try and book anything else in. Don't do any social events. Just focus on coming here for 2 weeks and see what benefit that gives you. And just try and keep your calendar free. You still have your life to deal with, your kids, your parents, that kind of thing, but don't try and book anything else in where you're going to be like, just pick a period in time that works for you. But all those situations in the last 10 years have just caused havoc.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot.
Mentally on the family. It's a lot to sort of process. And whilst you're dealing with this stuff, and it just kept seeming to happening. Things, now we've got this, now we've got that. And when you've come out of that period, per se, and you look back over the last sort of 10 to 12 years, you think, God, we've been through an awful lot of stuff here. And how have we managed to... And we're still married, we're still together, we've still got all this positivity around us of our kids and grandkids, and it's like we've come through it, and it's a great thing to see. And it's only when you come out of that period you look back and go, actually, we've done pretty bloody well here. And that leads on to where we were before, where you get to that point in life where you've managed to get all that sort of stuff not boxed away, but it's dealt with, it's kind of processed. And then you can start focusing on what the future, because at the moment, all we've been looking at is looking back over the last 10 to 12 years going, geez, I've got this to deal with now. Where now you can start looking to the future a bit more because you've kind of moved on from that period. Touch wood.
Is mental health like, how, is it I mean, for me, I think it's a constant cycle.
Oh, God, yeah.
Still the same.
My dad can still suck me down on a Friday night when he rings up and says, I need help getting this thing off a shelf, and I have to then get up and go to the house and do all those little situations. You know, I've got an 8-year-old child who is at it all the time. You know, she's doing dancing twice a week, gymnastics twice a week. She's getting really good at them, but that's a commitment in travel. She's doing competitions all over the sort of Northwest. So that adds stress. Work is still, you know, I have quite a high pressure job. I love my job and I'm quite good at it. But there's pressures there. And so those pressures still come and they can still attack you and they can come all at once. You can get one a day. You might have a week when everything's going really, really well and you've been to the gym 3 or 4 times. You're like, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
So no, those pressures do come, but having somewhere like this to come to and relieve that pressure rather than turn into a bottle of wine or turn into whatever else it was you were doing is definitely an assistance and a help in life. But you're right, it can be up and down, and I've not lost the memory of all those things we've been through. And there'll be things on TV that come on that remind you of it, or someone will say something just innocuous, and you're like, oh, and all of a sudden you're sucked back into that period. And when you were in Wimshaw Hospital, getting given that news, 9-10 years ago. So yeah, those things do happen. But I think being here for a year and having that mental background now to sort of be stronger, been through that situation, I kind of dealt with it, and nothing really stresses me out anymore. I think we've been through so many seriously stressful situations in family life. You can't really faze me anymore with anything. Even in work, when a big conflict comes up, I'm like, right, calm down.
Do you think a lot of that is to do with the fact that you are prioritising yourself, though?
I definitely am prioritising myself, and I don't want that to sound selfish, because it's not.
I think it needs to be a little bit. I think it's a funny, the way it can come across is funny. I don't think selfish is the right word, really. We often say you've got to be selfish to be selfless, right?
Exactly.
But you have to be that version, don't you? Because otherwise these things get on top of you.
It's quite obvious in life. If you're not sorted out, your family's not going to be sorted out. And then so my philosophy in life is pretty much recently it's become, look after myself and make sure I'm right, then I can look after my family, and then my family, they're right, can look after their local community and their, the extended family and that kind of thing. And it just expands out, because if you're not right, nothing's going to go right, because you're the kind of keystone in what's going on. And that might be a male thing to say, but I still.
Oh, but you're the person in your own head, mate,
exactly.
As well. So everyone can have their own version of those events, but you're living inside your head all the time.
And I want to be the strongest one to make sure, because like I say, Hayley's been through some stuff and is now dealing with her own family's illnesses. I need to be strong and just sort of keep that mental focus on. So yeah, looking after myself is a priority in that sense of saying, right, okay, I need to be strong to make sure I can put my arms around people and guide them through whatever else is going to come our way in the next 10 years.
Yeah, because it's gone, isn't it?
Of course it is.
Right, talk to me then about your results and things like that.
Yep.
So, because you have got pretty strong since you started.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think I remember the first day I came in that corner of you, I couldn't do 3 press-ups. You had me on the bike. I was gone in 5 seconds, just like wanting to be sick. Again, I've committed to it. I've made sure I focus on the right things. I think when I first came, I told you that my legs would be strong because I've played football all my life. I've ridden bikes, and I knew that was a part I was going to be confident in. Going on that bike for the first time made me realise I perhaps wasn't as fit as I was. But no, the results have been great, and I've tried to focus on everything. But certainly my upper body strength growing up has never been. I've never done weights until I came here, really. Maybe a couple of years when I was like 18 to 20, etc. But no, coming here has been great. And it was more a case of, I was 49, 50 coming on, and I was getting a bit of weight around here. And I was going on holidays and stuff, and I wanted to sort of look good. I was getting the beer belly. But it was a mental thing for me more than anything else. And the results of that is key for me. I knew I think I said before, after 2 weeks, I knew this was the right thing for me to do, because I was already feeling it up here that I'm clearer. I've got a goal here, something to aim for. And those little challenges of, your PBs on your squats and your bench press and your military press, I aim for them now, and I've got those little things to aim for.
What do you think helps when it comes to training to keep you engaged in the training?
The motivation of the coaches, the motivation of the other people here, certainly helps. Having someone saying to you, what's your PB, Nigel? I don't expect you guys to know every single person's PBs, but you've all got them listed. They're there. And
seeing progression and having it kind of documented.
100%. And if you can follow that, it's about those little goals. And I can see now, I'm squatting 155 all the way down and back up, which is I am more than happy with. And I did 170 the other day, only with the security bars in. But that to me is I'm aiming for 170. That's where I want to be. Doing that, so it's those little things, and you've got all
things
that
to focus on your journey.
100%. And then you've got the outside bit of that for me, which is the weight, your body mass, your numbers that you get on the sort of printed sheet.
Would you say when you're feeling better, you're more confident?
Oh, 100%.
Right.
Yeah, totally. You're walking around like, I look good. And maybe I don't.
No, mate, I'm sure you do. You do.
No, but it's
all about how you feel.
I can see up here, I can see it here. You get the tight fitting t-shirts, your stomach's not sticking out, and you're just walking around going, and in yourself, whether you're Adonis or not, you feel confident.
Confidence comes from doing, I think.
Yeah.
I really honestly believe that. I think it doesn't really matter actually what we look like.
Yeah.
I think if you set your stall out, I'm going to do this, and then you do it, that's where the confidence comes from. Because you can have somebody jump on a set of scales one day and feel like shit, and 3 days later they feel like a completely different human being, but it's because they're just chipping away at the daily things, at the plan that they set out. So I think that's great. Okay. So what about, we had a curry night recently,
we did.
Which you missed.
I missed.
I was gutted you missed that, bro.
I was away.
Absolutely gutted.
But I was here Friday morning at 6 o'clock.
Yeah,
the day
on your
after,
own.
in the gym, on my own with the tumbleweed. But,
no one else was in. Community though, we've touched on that a bit. I think one thing we try and really harness, I remember when I first ever went to a gym, must have been 15, 16 years ago. I was about 21 stone. I actually went to LA Fitness in Sale, and I don't know if you've ever been in, but there's it's like layers. It's like it was an old nightclub, I think, back in the day.
You're talking about Everlast.
Yeah, Everlast. Yeah.
It's the old cinema.
Yeah, it's the old cinema, exactly. So, but when I walked in, I remember my heart was in my mouth because there was all these people, all these layers to everything. I was like, fuck's sake, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. They must all be staring at me. It was unfriendly. Yeah. And what I would generally do is go for a few days, knacker myself because I'd be ragging, and then not go back for 3 or 4 months. And so I think one of the things that we try and focus on here, and men are funny, right? Because they're all like islands until they have this common thing. Yeah. And the common thing can be the stresses of life. It can be anything. But, the community feel, talk to me about how and why do you think that's had an impact? Yeah,
so exactly the same as you. I was at JD, Everlast, did those things. Number one, you're doing the wrong things when you go because you've not really got anyone guiding you. If you're doing all this cardio and you think it's the right way, but really you're not actually achieving anything in what you need to do. So coming here straight away, when you're with blokes of a similar age group, similar attitude, similar outlook on life, all that kind of stuff. And it's clearly you get that here when you come here straight away, because I think anyone who gets to, I don't like using age brackets, but it's 40 plus since
we also have a no dickhead policy, mate, really, don't we? Let's be honest.
You filter them out quite well. So, but no, I mean, and to be fair, I've not come across one person here that I thought, you know what, there's an issue, or there's everyone is quite like-minded, and I said it up before, but on the 6 o'clocks. You come in, you're absolutely like, I need to get myself out of bed. But then as soon as you walk in the door and the likes of Stuart and Noel and Will and Andy and Nick all turn up, here's me boys.
Yeah.
That's the kind of feeling we've got now. We are known as the 6 a.m. crew. We've got this big thing going on where the 6 a.m.ers did this, the 6 a.m.ers did that. Yeah.
Rivaling the 7 a.m.ers.
Exactly.
Because they get an extra hour.
Yeah, and they get less exercises too, because I've been sat in there listening to anyway. But no, and the camaraderie we've got, we probably don't talk to each other outside the gyms. But with me and Noel, for example, I struck up a little bit of a relationship outside of it, where we're just texting, "Are you okay? What's going on?" Me and Will were going to do the high rocks together. That didn't work for me because I hurt my foot. But anyway, those things, and the group is brilliant. Do you feel like it's quite hard as an adult? And I'm a man, so I'm going to talk from a man's perspective, right? But from an adult male's perspective, I think it's really hard to find, for want of a better word, like friends, a circle, because you are so busy and your friends are so busy. And as you get older, you lose touch with people. Well, yeah, I mean, I can vouch for that. So when we were growing up in Timpley, Timpley was a huge social circle when we were young. There was probably 30 or 40 of us who all knew each other. We'd all probably go to the same clubs. But then within those groups, you had smaller groups. So I probably had 5 or 6 really good mates when I was sort of between the age of 18 and sort of 25. And you're right, that drifts apart. I've now got 2 mates who I can count on one hand who are my best mates. They were both my best men. And I don't really socialise outside of that apart from work. I'm quite a sociable person. I do mix well in strange, but that's my job. I'm made to go into rooms full of people I don't know and do training and that kind of thing. So I'm quite lucky that way, that I have that confidence just to talk to anybody anyway. But you're right, when you come to a place like this and you see the weight machines, I'm like, oh, it's not, weights isn't my thing. And you straight away, you've got someone doing bench pressing 90 or 100 kilograms. Like, here's me with 40 going, oh my God. But instantly, they'll be over supporting you. Mm-hmm. When they see you struggling with 45 and they're stood behind you going, come, and that's the difference. It's not judgmental. I know for a fact when you go to JD and Everlast and you start crouching on somebody else's weight machine, they're looking at you going, who are you? What are you doing?
It's like you're going to have a fucking scrap. In JD Wivenshaw, it is like that, I reckon.
Walking in here, day one, it was like, okay, I'm not going to be good at bench. This is going to be really embarrassing. And it just wasn't, because you guys are like, no, come on, do this, do that. And then the other guys straight away reacted, because they're all in the same boat, but from different levels. It's all relative. That's what I was saying before about family pressure. It's all relative. Everyone's got their own requirements, their own injuries to carry, their own weaknesses. I'm really strong. People look at me doing squats thinking, God, I wish I could probably do 155 like 100%. That. And that's it. So, it's, you look at Noel will bench press 100, 110.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at him going, God, but I'm never going to get to that point. So don't stress yourself out thinking I need to be some sort of Greek Adonis pushing this weight up. When you don't, it's all about what you want inside. And then having that group of blokes around you who understand that, because they're all thinking the same thing, like you say, and it all becomes very obvious that they're all thinking the same way.
Yeah, it's good, man.
And it's all about the community.
Yeah.
I touched on it before. Sort yourself out and get part of a community that you can add to and benefit and support people. There's new guys coming in the gym now. I'm straight away, I'm a bit of a person that I like to help people. Yeah. That's I've always liked to help people in life, and I like to sort of guide people through. And if anyone new comes in, I'm Nigel, how you doing? Have a joke about the ice bath, have a joke about the sauna, and try and get them into that, because I know they've benefited me like amazingly. Just try and get them in and try and guide them a little bit, give them a bit of confidence, because they're probably walking in
feeling the same way,
a bit quiet. And so I'm always aiming for those people, going, I can help these guys. If they want my help, great. If they don't, fine. But there's still even the quieter ones. It's always a good morning.
I think it goes far, even with the quieter ones. Do you know what I mean? They just take a minute to come out of the show, don't they? Everyone's a little different. Okay, so then what would you say to somebody who is struggling with their mental health at the minute, dips in and out, trying to work, trying to maintain good relationships at home, family life, but they just can't possibly imagine where you find the fucking energy to get started, Nige? What would you say to that person?
You've just got to do it, and you've got to listen to people like me who've been there. And I've not gone into too much detail about what my life's been like for the last sort of 10 to 15 years, but there's been a certain amount of high-level stress there. I can do it. And it took some effort to sort of get to do it. It took me one point in life to realise I need to do something now, but it's just doing it. You've got to put your faith in something and have a go. And like I say, you're not committing to a 12-month contract. You're committing to a 6-week period of, I'm going to give this a go. And that's it. You just got to, it's down to yourself. You have to push yourself to do it. Everyone's got their own lives. They're all too busy looking after themselves. You might have someone that cares about your parents, your siblings, might care about you, but they're never going to come and drag you to the gym because they've got their own lives to worry about on a daily basis. So you've got to do that first initial push and get yourself out of that front door and get yourself here and give it a go. And you'll soon find out if it's the right or wrong thing to do. I'd be very surprised if anyone walks away and goes, that's not right for me. I'll go and find my mental health, relief somewhere else. But, start walking. Just get out of the house and get some fresh air. Even if you don't join this straight away, just go walking for a week. Start to get the fresh air and
just build on it.
Just half an hour, and you just think, oh my God, I feel so much better after just going for that walk on the field. Because I'm doing that in between the gym now and just having 2 or 3 hours where I maybe take the dog for a walk or whatever. And start with the basics and just push yourself along. But certainly just it is down to you. You have to be that one that goes, I'm going to do something about this now. The problem won't go away unless you take some action first.
Nice, man. I like it.
That's the attitude.
Yeah, mate, it's a great attitude. You have been a pleasure to have at the gym, Nige.
Thank you very much.
From the beginning, mate.
Loved
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah, it's been great. I really appreciate your time today.
No problem.
Coming in and sharing your thoughts with me.
Anytime.
Next time we've got a curry night, I'll make sure you're there.
Yeah. Give me a date 6 months in advance.
Yeah. So you can plan your diary.
No, thank you, mate.
Nice one, bro. So I just want to say a big thank you to Nige for coming in and sharing his story with us today. Hopefully it can help some of you watching or listening to relate to some of the things he's been through and perhaps understand how you might be able to navigate and move forward for yourself. If you've liked what we've shared on the podcast today, please leave us a comment or a rating. And if you are in the South Manchester area and would like to have a chat with us about how we may be able to help you with your health and your fitness, there will be a link in the description for our website. Please just go on there, send us a message, and one of the team will be in touch. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.